Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Alyssa Swiatek. I am with Invest in Children as the Family Engagement Manager. And Invest in Children is a community-wide public-private partnership providing services for families with children 0 through 6. And FamilySpace is our newest family-centered initiative, and we're so very excited to be partners here with United Way of Greater Cleveland, the library system, both the county and city library system, and of course, Family Connections. See if I can move the slide along. So the easiest way to talk about FamilySpace, I want to answer first why it's so important. And FamilySpace to us, these are place-based services that will support and nurture families in their neighborhoods. So FamilySpace is slotted to begin in 4 pilot locations, 2 at Cleveland Public Library System and 2 at the County Public Library System. And when implemented, FamilySpaces will truly be a place where a family with a young child can come in an enriching and nurturing, relaxed environment. Everything from the space to the staff, everything is going to be family-centered. And so I brought up this, speak closer to the microphone, excuse me. It's been a while since I've had a microphone. And closer to the computer. There we go. So hopefully you all can see this beautiful infographic that will help if you are much like me and are visual learners, just sort of conceptualize what we are talking about when we talk about family space. We are talking about family-centered spaces, family-centered staff, and family-centered partnership. So although each location may look a little different, they will all have these core concepts in order to be family spaces. So when we talk about spaces, we're talking about spaces specifically designed to meet the needs of young children and their families. So thinking through, what does it mean to have a little one with you? You're going to have a car seat. You're probably going to have a diaper bag. So even a space to hold these things while you're participating in family space is really important. Access to a bathroom with a changing table, also very important. I should say for to both have access for any sort of caregiver who may need to change their child's diaper or attend to any other infant toddler need, right? The spaces are also going to have family-centered curriculum and materials so that the space, when it comes, it's ready for play. It's ready for the parent to dive in an enriching way with their child and have fun. So all the materials are going to specifically meet the needs of young children and encourage play and exploration. Finally, when we talk about spaces, there's going to be a family resource center, and this is a vital piece of the 2Gen work because we know that families, when they come with their young children, have needs specifically for their children, but also anyone else in that household. So there will be a designated space in each family space that will help that family explore what types of community resources or supports are available to meet the needs and interests of their families. And although there is going to be that family resource center available to all families to explore as they need, we hope that by providing family-centered staff, which are staff that are specifically trained, understanding the needs of young children, what it means to work with young families, to empower and support families. We hope that FamilySpace will become the trusted place where families can access that family resource center, but also talk to the staff within the family-centered space about the needs of their family. So what does my child need? What do I need as their caregiver? What do I need as the adult in this household to make my family, to have my family thrive? So our staff will be able to support their families, meet them where they are, make sure they are getting to where they need to go or want to go. Finally, in thinking through family-centered staff, we have family advocates. It's listed here as parent advocates, but what we're really talking about are family advocates. And these are going to be caregivers who are hired by the libraries and will be supporting staffing and FamilySpace, but we'll also be doing outreach to the neighborhoods that FamilySpace is located. So being the family friendly face that connects with families at the neighborhood child care center or events and activities that are happening within that community and neighborhood and saying, hey, have you heard about FamilySpace? You should come and check it out. So we really hope that really encompassing a welcoming, safe, enriching experience, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about FamilySpace. But the most crucial and important piece of FamilySpace in my mind is that we're providing family-centered partnerships. So we're using a family advisory committee to help us understand and to drive the work of FamilySpace. So the Family Advisory Committee is going to work hand in hand with staff from Family Connections and the libraries to really implement what FamilySpace looks like at that location. So they have shared decision-making power in terms of what programming might be offered, what supports might be offered, what community resources might be brought in. Everything that family is interested in or needs will be made available based on their input. We're also thinking through what it means to provide family-centered evaluation, participatory evaluation, and thinking through in terms of when we collect data as funders or implementers of a program, what does it mean to be family-centered? I know I have young ones, and every time that I go to the doctor's office, I'm handed a big clipboard and told, hey, go ahead and fill this out while you're waiting. And I laugh because my little one is exploring in that environment. And so I'm trying to quickly scribble everything I need to scribble down while my child is doing what a child does, right? They're playing, they're exploring, they're experiencing the world. So what does it mean to have family-centered or family-friendly data collection? What does that look like? We hope that our Family Advisory Committee will help us as we continue to refine that model. But also, what does FamilySpace mean to the families who are attending? These are the types of things that we are thinking about when we're thinking about what it truly means to be family-centered from beginning to end.
Great, thank you, Alyssa. So I'm going to turn our attention now that you have the overview of what FamilySpace is. And I will tell you that I think one of the challenging things we've encountered with planning this is that it is not a very easily definable thing because each library system is going to implement it in slightly different ways because of what the families say they need. And so it's taken us a long time, I think, to get to the point of being able to explain it as clearly and succinctly as Alyssa just did. So sorry, I'll stand a little bit closer here. So what I'd like to do next is actually I'm going to address my next question to Keisha from Family Connections. The role that Family Connections is playing with this project is really as the family engagement, resident expert. And so we're really relying pretty heavily on them and on Keisha's experience specifically in engaging families. So Keisha, the question I'd like to pose to you is, how will FamilySpace support authentic family interactions and the feeling of community?
So how will FamilySpaces, how will we engage and interact with the community? First off, we see ourselves as an open entity, and that is what we hope to express to each library system, in which they are, because everybody, every place uses either Cleveland Public or County Library. And so we want people to be able to envision themselves there comfortably as a home away from home. And that is what Family Connections provides in our FamilySpaces, in our playrooms. So even as far as not referring to our playrooms as literacy playrooms, which they absolutely are, because we have literacy play pointers throughout, we pivoted on that verbiage because we noticed that sometimes that was a bit intimidating to the families to come in and attend. So more so to be able to impact that by family-centered coaching the model and showing them how they can engage in learning while attending the playrooms. Those are some of our projected goals with the library systems, to be able to make those spaces just as comfortable as the playroom spaces that are available currently.
Thank you, Keisha. So I'm going to address my next question to Maria. I'm preparing you in advance, so you know. And Maria works with the Cuyahoga County Public Library System. How has your, as a system, and engagement of families evolved over time in the services that you provide?
You know, we were talking earlier about breaking down silos in the previous, in Aisha's presentation, and libraries, family connections in libraries is relatively new. You know, we were very siloed before. You know, you had adult reference librarians, and then you had children's librarians. And, you know, those of you who might remember going to story time when you were young, or who have kids who are older, might remember dropping them off in the story time and then leaving. And it was kind of like preparing them for school kind of deal. Like, you know, the parent didn't go in. And we really realized that we were missing an opportunity. And that big change, it was like a seismic shift in children's librarianship, came in 2010 with Every Child Ready to Read. And this was research and a training that was developed that said, you know, librarians, you have been trained. You know, I don't know if people realize that all the heads of departments in our libraries have master's degrees. And so you go to get your master's and you learn about child development if you're a children's librarian, and you learn about early literacy. And they're like, your expertise is not being leveraged properly. You need to have the parents come in with you, and you're giving gentle asides to them. You see their child for a half hour every week. They're with their child every day. You know, if it's the parent or the grandparent or the you know, childcare person, they're with them every day. You need to address this. So that was a sea change in librarianship that came again in 2010. And around this time, Cuyahoga County Public Library was about to embark on a major campaign to update and rebuild a lot of our buildings. So knowing that had happened, and that we were really looking at engaging the entire family, we started to look at how we did our buildings a little bit differently. And, you know, that family engagement and family spaces within that building were really put in mind. And they did, you know, when if you go to some of our newer buildings, like Garfield and South Euclid that we're going to be in, and like Warrensville and Mayfield, and all these brand new buildings have, you know, spaces that are much more inviting to families than some of the older buildings that you might be visiting. And we're still updating our buildings. It's still going on. But so that was something that really changed, and it continued in 2013. 4 libraries, and I happened to be at Warrensville at that time, and I was part of this pilot, were sent to learn to be FamilySpace librarians. These names are so similar. And that is something that's been going on through since the 1980s, where it's for birth through 5, and really specifically birth through 3. And it has a parent-child workshop where it's very similar to what we're going to be doing here. But this is going to be on a larger scale, where the children play, and the librarian and a community partner come in, and just through play, and not like you're having a lecture to the parent, but just through conversation, you know, address something. So you have a pediatric dentist come in as a partner, and the pediatric dentist talks about, you know, what they should be doing with their child and their dental health, something like that. We also, in 2014, Starting Point came to us with the idea of getting children who have not been in preschool or in childcare setting to be part of our kindergarten club. And that was what you saw a little snippet of on the video. And that was, you know, another thing where you bring the parents in with the family. The entire family comes in, and everyone brings the entire family, and you split it up. The parents and the caregivers are being talked to by one of our child psychologists, really talking about how they can advocate for their child, how they can be their child's teacher and really prepare them for school. And then the kids are learning with the librarian, and then they come together and do something. So we've been slowly making these incremental, leads is gaining traction with family engagement throughout the past 10 years or so. And we expanded our family place. We renamed it Baby Club. We have all these clubs, and that was expanded through the help of Mount Zion. And most recently, in April of this year, they created the position that I now have, which is a family engagement specialist. So we're going all in on this. And that was through the help of the Pruning Foundation. But now we're coming to FamilySpace. And the exciting part for me when it comes to this is exactly what Alyssa is also excited about, which is the Family Advisory Committee. And really, we've been talking to parents and surveying parents, but we haven't had that true parent voice. And that's what this is going to really bring. And it's very exciting. It's a little bit daunting. I'm going to be relying on Keisha. This is the part that the other parts I feel like we have experience in. This is the part where I think this is the real next level for us. And so it's very exciting. We are close. We are very close. Our first one is going to be open in first space will be opening in September. So I can say that was decided yesterday. So it's very exciting, and we're really looking forward to doing this and continuing to work with our partners.
Thank you, Maria. We've two quick questions here. I'll answer one right now before I answer or ask the next panel question. There's the question, will there be capacity limitations for these spaces? And I'll say that capacity limitations will be based on libraries' restrictions, but also if we get to that point, we'll all be very excited. So that's my answer to that question. But speaking of spaces, and Maria, you mentioned that a lot of the county library systems have been recently renovated, and that part of that drive for renovation has been to make them more family oriented, right? So it's not just books or videos that you go and get. There's a lot more to it. So we also know that in Cleveland, many of the branches are under construction right now. So what is it about these construction projects that are going to better support something like a family space within those locations? And I'm turning this over to Erica from the Cleveland Public Library.
Thank you. So as Keisha mentioned, we want our libraries to be home away from home. We want the space to be comfortable for families, for parents, for children, so they can come and be relaxed while they are learning. And so right now, I believe we are in year 3 of our renovations. This is a 10-year project. And within the next years, each of our locations will be touched in some form or fashion. Some libraries may have new buildings, some may just be renovated on the inside, or we may add on. So we are so excited about that. And for someone who's been there for 20 years, I am thrilled to be able to see the spaces come alive, but to also be Thank you. Hello? Okay, we're back. But to also be able to implement family space in our new spaces. So another exciting thing, especially I do programming, so this is like super exciting for me. All of our furniture, everything will be reconfigurable, so we can have a lot of flexibility in our space. So let's say if our families, our parent advocates say, hey, we want to change this space to make our parents, our kids more comfortable, we can do that, no problem. So natural lighting, new furniture. So we are just really looking forward to be able to serve our families in the new space that we're going to have.
Thank you, Erica. So I'm going to address another one of our audience questions to Alyssa. So the question is, as these family spaces are partnerships, how will these spaces be staffed? Which agency will supply staff, funding, et cetera?
All right. So we talked a little bit about the structure here at the beginning. Our family space funders are, of course, Invest in Children and partnering with United Way to ensure that family space can be implemented in fidelity with our structure. So our family space partners, the family space pilots at the county public library system will be staffed by county library staff, in addition to that family advocate that I mentioned before, that will have a dual role of being within family space during the dedicated time. Sorry, I keep moving away from the computer. They will be in the family space during the dedicated hours, but they will also be doing community outreach. And that same structure is within the Cleveland Public Library system, where there will be a CPL staff in family space during the dedicated hours, in addition to that family advocate. Family Connections is a wonderful consultative role in helping us really truly bringing to life both the space and thinking through alongside of our family advisory committee what that means to be family centered. And helping family space really build out the capacity to lift up parent voice in every aspect of family space. And so we are thrilled beyond belief to have Family Connections playing that role.
Thank you. So I'm going to answer one more question. I'll answer this question from the audience here. And then I've got another, I think we have about 5 minutes left. So I think we'll get maybe 1 or 2 more questions to our panel too. So the question is, are the family spaces LGBTQ friendly? And to answer this question, I actually want to take you back to our logo. When we were designing this logo, we were actually very aware and talked a lot about what does a family look like. There were some iterations that the designer who made these presented that were very clearly a mother, a father, and a child. So it was very important to us to create a logo that has flexibility in what a family looks like, and also that reflects the support that family will get within the library spaces. So the short answer is yes, but also we are very aware of the different dynamics of families and also the different barriers that families face based on their composition. So that's something that is important to us. So there's so many other questions to ask. It's a little hard to figure out which is the best, but actually one thing I do, this is something I think almost everyone here has really focused on, is the family advisory committee. And that's something that we're all really excited about. So Keisha, I'm wondering if you can tell us what is the benefit of having a neighborhood-based family advisory committee, and how is that gonna contribute to the family space model?
Am I clear? Okay. So I'm really glad that you asked that question. I'd like to refer back to comments that Maria and Erica both made about making the spaces open and inviting to everyone. And so, as Renee just mentioned, to us, everyone could be a single dad coming out to bring the kids, to anyone in the LGBTQ community, where you don't have to worry about which restroom you go in with your little. You don't have to worry about finding a woman or a female to take your child into the bathroom. You can come in and see books, literature, things that reflect what your family looks like in these spaces. And so thinking about that and answering the question that Renee just asked about our advisory committee, These advisory committees absolutely address those concerns from a community-based standpoint, because you live here. You know your community. You know the people who access the library. You know your neighbors. You know what you need. And so what we hope to provide is a space for you to be you. And that's what our collaboration and these family spaces will be. And those families will lead. We will be there as, let's say, the engine, but those families will absolutely do the steering.
Great, thank you. And I do want to ask, I think for our last question, actually we might be about out of time. We are, okay. So thank you to all of our panelists for presenting. As you know, someone who gets to work with all of you, I think I just want to say it's a real pleasure and honor to be doing this work with you. And I think that we have a really great collaborative here. And we're looking forward to maybe sharing next year on how it's going, because we're still in the getting started phase. We can't yet tell you how it's going. But I think that's it for us. Thank you very much.